welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm your host, Winnie.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are talking about Charli XCX. She makes her own rules.
She does.
Yes.
She makes her own rules. She made her own last name, which is cool.
Her name's not
No, it's not and it's not like Roman numerals either. Yeah, so it's just XCX. We don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. But she is definitely a pop star that a lot of people have known about. She's been around a while, but in the last year or two, her career has really blown up. She's become very, very well known. She even had a small part in the last American election for president.
Really?
Right? Not directly, but she was kind of pulled into that a little bit. Yeah, I think it was something that she tweeted or something, and then it got picked up by people. And I remember thinking, wait, isn't she British?
I was just going to say.
But just because she's a big cultural figure these days.
She's definitely influential.
Yeah, so it's very interesting and also kind of good because often you think that, if you don't have a big hit song right at the beginning, you're never really going to have a great career.
True.
But she's been around a few years and now her career just seems to be going from strength to strength, building and building. So
you made a good point. I will say that a lot of times when I hear a really catchy song and I can't get it out of my head, it's usually a Charli XCX song.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's check out how Charli XCX makes her own rules. That's in her career.
Right.
She's not like, smoking where she shouldn't smoke or voting in countries where she's not allowed to. She's not breaking the law. No, she's making her own rules. She's doing things her way, not the way everyone tells her to or not the way people have done before. She's our true original. Let's check it out.
Charli XCX is a British pop queen who is taking the world by storm. Born Charlotte Emma Aitchison, the 32-year-old discovered her love for music as a teenager during the MySpace era. This was a time when social media was starting to change how artists were noticed and early YouTube stars were redefining fame. At 14, Charli convinced her parents to fund her dream of recording music. She started uploading songs online under her now famous stage name.
Well, I'm excited to get started with Charli XCX makes her own rules, and this is day one.
All right, so let's find out all about her. Charli XCX is a British pop queen who is taking the world by storm. So already there's something that a lot of people, well, not a lot, but some people might be surprised by. She's British.
Right, and she's actually part Indian.
She really? Very interesting. And she's a queen too. Not the official queen, of course. When say someone is a pop queen or a movie queen or whatever, that just means they're very famous and very successful and very popular. So she's taking the world by storm. She's kind of appeared as if out of nowhere, and all of a sudden many people are listening to her songs and dancing to it and really liking her music. But of course, like most stories in show business, it didn't happen overnight. She's been at it for quite a while. It says, born Charlotte Emma Aitchison, the 32-year-old discovered her love for music as a teenager during the MySpace era.
That might be the most shocking thing we learned, that she's 32. She does
I remember reading about her in a magazine years ago. But still, I thought maybe in her late 20s. But 32. So again, no overnight success or sensation here. It's hard work that often is required to make yourself successful in anything, including pop music. But she discovered her love for music, like many kids these days, as a teenager during the MySpace era. Later, it would have been YouTube. Now it's TikTok, of course. But finding videos, recording your own stuff, uploading your stuff, getting people to listen to it, learning how to do what you do through sort of internet education. And she's done very well with it.
Yes, exactly. And continuing on, this was a time when social media was starting to change how artists were noticed. And early YouTube stars were redefining fame. And I think nowadays it's probably not as shocking to hear that, your favorite celeb started on YouTube. But back in the day, that was kind of, it was new territory. And so we use this word fame, and that just means popularity or a well-known, someone that has a lot of popularity and they're very well-known, or a thing that has a lot of popularity. So for example, Ricky used his fame to make a difference in the world. So of course, course, you can use your fame to influence people. And that's, very responsible.
Absolutely, yeah. The noun form, of course, would be fame, and the adjective, which we use more often, famous. She is very famous.
Right.
She has a lot of fame.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Kenny。这次要介绍的人物是酷娃恰莉 Charli XCX， 她是一位风靡全世界的英国流行天后。那这位32岁的歌手，早在青少年时期 MySpace 年代就已经发现自己对音乐的热爱。那是一个社群媒体开始改变艺人受关注方式的年代，也是早期 YouTube 明星重新定义成名的时代。好，单字 Fame 它是名词，表示名气、名声。Winnie 老师有提到 celeb。C-E-L-E-B， 那这个字表示名人、名流，它就是 celebrity 的简称。另外，文中用到 take something or somebody by storm， 表示风靡什么，在什么大获成功。这时候 Mike 老师有提到 sensation 这个字 S-E-N-S-A-T-I-O-N， 这个名词呢，它可以表达造成轰动的人事物。好，那课文在描述是什么样的时代时，它有用到关系副词 when 当关系副词相当于 in which、on which 或者是 at which， 它可以引导形容词子句，用来修饰或是补述说明跟时间有关的先行词。那首先当先行词它是非特定时间的话，是用限定用法修饰 when 前面不加逗点。例如 Jane was born in the year when her country became independent。 Jane 是在她国家独立的那一年出生的。那第二个，当先行词它是特定时间时，我们就要用非限定用法来补述说明 when 的前面要加逗点。例如 My favorite season is autumn when the weather is cool and pleasant。 我最喜爱的季节是秋天，那时候的天气凉爽宜人。好，这回课文中。
All right, now let's go back in time. Remember, she's 32 now. She started off on MySpace.
Right.
So that does kind of, give us an idea of when she started.
Yeah.
But she started very young, like many people do, at 14 years old. Oof. Charli convinced her parents to fund her dream of recording music.
Wow. I like that.
She must have been a very determined young lady, and she could also make a good speech to her mom and dad and say, well, this is why you should give me £5,000 to buy a bunch of music equipment or whatever. And
with a little
famous.
PowerPoint.
Like, oh, okay. And if we don't, you won't stop talking about it. So of course we will. But that shows she was really determined. She was focused from a very young age on what she wanted to do. And she did what people do. She started uploading songs online under her now famous stage name. I guess even back then, it would have taken a bit more time and equipment to record good sounding music, right? Nice sounding professional music. So that's why she needed to convince her parents to help her out. These days, it's probably a bit easier, but you still got to buy good microphones and all that kind of stuff. It takes some money. But to convince is basically to use your words and ideas and arguments, not in an angry way, but in a way to convince people to do what you want them to do, all right? To get them to do what you want to do is to convince them, not by saying, you gotta do it or I'm gonna punch you or something like that. No.
It's more like a persuading.
Saying, this is a really good idea and here's why. And I know what you're thinking, but I already thought of that. And then you listen to it and you go, okay, I've changed my mind because of your words and your ideas. You have convinced me. For example, I managed to convince Caroline to come to my party. Oh, but it's late, she said, and I'm tired. I had a long week. Yeah, but it's going to be so much fun, I said, and all your favorite people will be there, and there'll be great music, and if you don't come, I'll hate you. No, I didn't say that. But she finally changed her mind.
Exactly. And of course, she had to convince her parents to fund her dreams. And of course, to fund something means ka-ching, to pay for. Of course, recording equipment or even internet isn't free.
True.
So we obviously have to ask for our bosses, in that case, our parents. When you're 14, that's your biggest boss.
That's the bank.
Yeah, exactly. So they helped fund her dreams, or they paid for or invested in her dreams.
Absolutely.
So, for example, you could say the new theater is funded by the government.
I think Taylor Swift did this too, right? Her parents moved down to Nashville to get into music. Emma Stone convinced her parents to, help her move to LA to become an actress and all that stuff. So you gotta have determination if you're gonna make it.
课 文提到酷娃恰莉在14岁的时候说服父母资助她录制音乐的梦想，那她开始以她现在广为人知的艺名上传歌曲到网络上。Stage name 就是指艺名，那么单字 convince 是动词，它表示说服、使相信、使信服。Convince somebody to 加原形动词就可以表达说服某人做某事。那么 fund 这个动词它表示资助，为什么来提供资金？那我们接着回到课文中。
All right, we're going to take a short little break and then we'll be back with more with Charli XCX. Yes.
The internet allowed Charli to dream big as she navigated a tough reality. As a mixed-race girl with Indian and Scottish roots, Charli was picked on at school. She felt like an outsider, and music became her way to escape. Before long, her songs had caught the attention of music promoters in London. Then she began to perform live. Imagine, a fearless 16-year-old singing at wild underground parties, all while her parents are in the crowd. In 2013, Charli released her first studio album, True Romance. It won her many fans, but the real game changer in her career was the song Boom Clap. It reached #1 on the mainstream Top 40 chart and was used in the movie The Fault in Our Stars.
Welcome back from the break. Before the break, we learned a little bit about our friend Charlotte Emma. What's her last name?
Aitchison?
Yeah, but you guys might know her as Charli XCX.
Yes.
Yes.
She's very famous under that name.
Yes.
Not so much under her original name, but that's kind of cool.
Right.
Then she can, do things and people might not know who she is. But like a lot of young stars, and of course we're thinking about Bieber and Shawn Mendes and all of these other people. She became famous on the internet first and got a lot of attention with the songs that she recorded at home and uploaded without having a big record contract or anything like that, so you can do it too. It says the internet, the internet, MySpace and then YouTube and of course now TikTok. The internet allowed Charli to dream big while she navigated a tough reality. Ooh, okay. To navigate is sort of to find your way through a tough reality, like a difficult situation. From this, I'm getting the idea that her childhood wasn't easy. She went through some difficult, tough times.
Being 14 isn't easy anyway.
That is very true. And it says, as a mixed race girl with Indian and Scottish roots, Charli was picked on at school.
Right.
So she was teased. Other kids were a little cruel to her. Her parents looked different than other people. So, kids will always find those things that are different. Kind of get you. But of course, that is wrong. And many talented people, many wonderful people, many of my best friends have mixed race parents. So yes, we should definitely not make this a big deal because it's not a big deal. But life can be tough for young people, as you said, for many different reasons.
Right.
When we say something is tough, we're not saying it's hard, like, this steak is really tough. Did you cook it for 3 hours? Or my shoes are tough. I walked for, 2 weeks in the mountains and they're still in really good shape. No, we're saying it's hard, it's difficult, it's a challenge. When something is really tough, when your life is tough, or you're facing a tough problem, or you had a tough exam at school, it's challenging, it's difficult, it's hard. It's the kind of thing that might make you want to quit, but you kind of have to keep fighting through. It will get easier, right? If your childhood is easy, then it's not tough. You had few problems. If it was tough, you probably had lots of really challenging, difficult problems, but good for you for surviving. With my dad in the hospital, it's been a tough couple of weeks for my family.
Right.
But hopefully the family will pull together and their love and care for each other will make things better in the end.
And usually when you hear of celebrities' success stories, a lot of them come from these tougher backgrounds, these tough situations. That's usually what gives them that imagination, that creativity to create such beautiful pieces of work.
They've really lived a life.
Exactly. So continuing on, she felt like an outsider and music became her way to escape. And of course, when we use the word outsider, we're talking about someone who doesn't fit in or someone from literally outside, someone from another place. And in this case, obviously, back in the day, I don't think there were many Indian, Scottish people in her, maybe in her town. And that alone is already enough to kind of make someone feel excluded. And maybe that comes from a place, now her music comes from a place where, hey, I've gone through my past and now I can sing my feelings.
Absolutely. She can really relate to many people facing those types of situations or other tough, challenging things when they're growing up.
库娃恰莉是一个拥有印度与苏格兰血统的混血女孩，她在校园受到霸凌，觉得自己像个局外人，那么音乐就成了她逃避艰困现实的方式。单字 tough 就可以形容艰难的、困难的或是棘手的。Outsider 它表示局外人或者是外来者。Winnie 老师这时候有提到 exclude 这个动词 exclude， 那这个动词表示将什么排除在外或者是不包括的意思。这边还有一个重点是 pick on somebody， 这表示霸凌、欺负某人，它也可以指找某人麻烦、挑某人毛病。这个具体的意思就要取决于你的上下文语境。好，例如 Emily was often picked on at school because of her accent。Emily 在学校经常因为她的口音被欺负。那解华课文中。
All right, back to our article. So there she is living in Scotland. You know, she's going through normal teenage stuff, getting a little bit of tough treatment at school, but still focused on her music career, uploading those songs to MySpace. And it says before long, her songs had caught the attention of music promoters in London. Ooh, that of course is the capital of the country and also the capital of the music business in Britain. So music promoters, people who put on shows and stuff, had seen her. I guess she got a lot of, what was it, likes on MySpace?
Yeah.
A lot of people watching her videos on MySpace. Clearly, her music was really communicating and touching a lot of people. So then it says she began to perform live.
Wow.
She started to do live concerts at a fairly young age.
Very young age, yes. So continuing on, imagine.
Picture this.
A fearless 16. 1-6. A fearless 16-year-old singing at wild underground parties, all while her parents are in the crowd. I love that. So she's not kind of doing it behind their back. She's doing it in front of her investors, first of all. It's her parents.
At 16, I was learning how to play the guitar in my bedroom and playing to nobody. So there she was at these wild underground parties that she probably wouldn't be allowed to go to if she was just buying a ticket. But it's okay. Her
parents are there.
Her parents are in the crowd.
They drove her there.
And she's on stage. She's not just there watching the show. She is the show.
She is the show,
So that's pretty awesome. And I think we should also salute her parents for being
very supportive,
super cool parents.
They're the fans too.
I hope she bought them a house.
Yeah.
I imagine she, or at least paid them back. The money for that first keyboard or whatever. And then in 2013, Charli released her first studio album, True Romance. It won her many fans, but the real game changer in her career was the song. That's my boom clap.
That was a good one.
You like that? I'm not sure that's right. It's not really a boom. I got the clap right.
Everyone watching just felt that.
But her first album had the title True Romance. That was the name of the album. And that was back in 2013. I mean, it's almost hard to believe how long she's been doing this stuff and doing it well. Romance, that's just a word in the title, but romance is about love and friendship and then that kind of thing. We talk about romance movies where boy meets girl, boy loses girl, girl finds boy, boy finds boy, that kind of thing. So basically anything to do with love and hearts and Valentine's Day and, you know, hugging and kissing and all that kind of stuff. That would be romance. So true romance would be kind of like, you know, you meet that one person, that one special love of your life. It's a true romance. For example, with this word, we could say this book is about romance and friendship.
Right. So continuing on, it reached #1 on the mainstream top 40 chart and was used in the movie The Fault in Our Stars.
The boom clap song.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow. I mean, not only are you having a really successful song, but it's featured in a really successful movie.
A very popular movie, too.
Because this movie came from a book which was already really popular. So
that's true,
kind of big pressure already, but you know, with a good song.
It's also cool because the director, whoever made the movie, really liked the song and thought the song would fit in the movie really well. And it proved to be right, and I'm sure that helped it become more popular. So there you go, a #1 song on her first album, Not Too Shabby.
酷娃恰莉的歌曲很快就受到伦敦音乐演出策划人的注意，那么之后他就开始现场演出。大家想象一下，这个16岁少女在狂野的地下派对上演唱，然后她的父母竟然也在人群中。Mike 老师觉得应该要向这一对很酷很新潮的父母致敬一下。老师用到 salute。S-A-L-U-T-E salute 当动词可以表达行礼或是致敬的意思。那么在2013年，酷娃恰莉发行首张录音室专辑 True Romance 真实浪漫史，为她赢得许多粉丝。不过她事业真正的转捩点是 Boom Clap， 那这首歌有拿下主流40大单曲榜冠军，也被收录在电影《生命中的美好缺憾》当中。Mike 老师这时候用到 Not too shabby 来描述她的成就。Not too shabby 就可以表达不错、不赖、还不错的那种意思。好，那么单字 romance 它表示爱情、爱情故事或是浪漫。Game changer 表示大幅改变局势或主流想法的人事物。那我们接着回到课文中。
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for today, but we will have much, much more with Charli XCX tomorrow because she has much, much more to say, and we also have much, much more to see in her rise to global fame, which is kind of where she is these days.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll learn a little bit more about Charli.
Yes.
You see what I did
and
there?
we will try to be as brat as possible.
Charli XCX is a British pop queen who is taking the world by storm. Born Charlotte Emma Aitchison, the 32-year-old discovered her love for music as a teenager during the MySpace era. This was a time when social media was starting to change how artists were noticed and early YouTube stars were redefining fame. At 14, Charli convinced her parents to fund her dream of recording music. She started uploading songs online under her now famous stage name. The internet allowed Charli to dream big as she navigated a tough reality. As a mixed-race girl with Indian and Scottish roots, Charli was picked on at school. She felt like an outsider, and music became her way to escape. Before long, her songs had caught the attention of music promoters in London. Then she began to perform live. Imagine, a fearless 16-year-old singing at wild underground parties, all while her parents are in the crowd. In 2013, Charli released her first studio album, True Romance. It won her many fans, but the real game changer in her career was the song Boom Clap. It reached #1 on the mainstream Top 40 chart and was used in the movie The Fault in Our Stars.
最后我们来复习今天课文里面的单字文法。单字的部分有 fame， 它是名词，表示名气、名声。convince 是动词，表示说服、使相信、使信服。fund 它是动词，表示资助，为什么什么提供资金。Tough 它是形容艰难的、困难的或棘手的。Romance 是名词，则表示爱情、爱情故事或是浪漫。文法的部分，我们第一个学到关系副词 when 可以引导形容词子句去修饰或补述说明跟时间有关的先行词。那先行词是非特定时间，就用限定用法 when 前面不加逗号。先行词是特定时间，是非限定用法 when 的前面要加逗号。第二个重点学到 pick on somebody 表示霸凌欺负某人，也可以指找某人麻烦、挑某人毛病。好，那以上是这节讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Hey Kiki, you done mincing the carrots?
Yeah, I think I'm doing it right.
What are you doing?
I'm mincing.
No, that is not mincing.
You know there are different verbs to cutting vegetables, right?
Oh, I thought mincing is just cutting up vegetables.
Okay, let me teach you a few things. Let's explore some words that we use in the kitchen with a knife.
The first one we're going to do is slice our cucumber. So when we are slicing, we are cutting things into thin, flat pieces.
Yes, just like when you slice a loaf of bread, it's very thin slice. Next up, we have diced tomatoes, so we have to dice our tomatoes.
So when you're dicing something, you're basically cutting something into chunks. And they don't have to be the exact same size. So they're just little small cubes. And you can kind of think of like a dice that we roll. They are like a little square or a little cube.
Right. Now let's move on to mincing our carrots.
Here we already have Winnie who has cut our carrots into little matchsticks. And when we mince something, we're basically cutting something into fine, small pieces, like this. Very small and fine. That's a fine mincing job, Winnie.
Here, see what you did there?
Now we're going to cube our cooked chicken.
Right, that means we cut something into evenly sized cubes.
So what's the difference between cube and dice?
When you're dicing something, it doesn't really matter if they are different sizes, whereas when you're cubing something, they're relatively the same size.
Here we've started to chop our onion. And chopping is a very generalized term. It's basically when we're cutting our meats or vegetables into different or rough pieces. They don't all have to be the same. We have finally finished preparing our salad. Today we learned lots of different ways to cut things.
Yeah, for example, you can slice something, dice something, chop something, cube something, or mince something.
So I guess it's finally time to enjoy our salad. Wait, what about the dressing?